So I want to talk about Claude launching a community ambassadors program.
Mhm.
Basically, Claude has been on it ever since, this whole thing happened with OpenAI and the Department of Defense. They've just been launching, program after program that is essentially showing people or trying to show people that we are the human AI, the ethical AI that cares about you, that cares about creativity and wants to help you as a thinking partner instead of doing the work for you. And I think that this is one of the ways that they're able to do it is by trying to rely on their community of everybody that's interested in Claude and Claude Code. And create an ambassador program that can then demonstrate what the platform can do, right?
Yeah.
Which I think is brilliant because, like, a lot of the times, a lot of these companies have a hard time showing, particularly with AI, right? Like, that's why we're getting all these, like, really basic, ads from like ChatGPT, saying, like, this is what you can do a
Yeah.
travel plan, do like a recipe, do like a fitness, plan, because most people aren't using AI to the point that it actually is making a difference in their lives or that they see that it's better than Google, right? Like
Mhm.
if you're just going to search, you might as well just go on Google, which already has all your information anyway. Why would you try this new thing that you
Yeah.
hear that, everybody is like balking against, right? Um so by getting your users that love your product to be ambassadors for what you're building is like a great way to kind of streamline and go direct to new consumers. And so what we're seeing here is people applying to be Claude Code ambassadors,
Mhm.
which will allow them to kind of show off like what they're doing, but then also do like meetups. So they'll get like a little budget, they'll get, pre-release features and be part of like builders councils. They'll get like funding, swag, API credits, and then get promoted through Anthropic. In order to show off what Claude can do. And I think this is a great way because we're already seeing, people online, show what
Mhm.
they're doing, like show, with like Claude Code. I've seen like demos of people putting together like infographics and like marketing stuff. Here's like what you can do with like content with like Claude. And then obviously, the developer community is like full in on Claude Code right now because it's helping them code a lot faster than they ever have before. So they really want to tap into this network and let people bring in their own people from that. So, kind of like what I'm seeing from this is that they're wanting to build community instead of infrastructure, which is going to show that they really, do care about their users. So, Nina, have you seen this? Like, would love to know your thoughts.
Also, no. I really I really be in, like, a film bubble for real. Like, but I am well aware of what Claude is. I think that it's a pretty great strategy to have. I think right now everybody wants to be influencers and ambassadors
Mhm.
and feel like they have something over other people, and when they become the influencer, the ambassador, it gets people intrigued. And so
Mhm.
I think it's a good idea. It's a great
Um,
way, the people that don't know about Claude, it's a great way to meet people where they're at.
Yeah. What I really like about this is that this is launching around the time that they're growing like exponentially, right?
Mhm.
So their user base has grown 60% since January. Those numbers also came out showing that Claude is like the enterprise AI that most companies are using, right?
Mhm.
Like completely outstripping OpenAI, which was kind of surprising because it's kind of just been a dark horse in this whole thing. And when their
Mhm.
Super Bowl ads came out, I was like, oh wow, like, yeah, like I don't get it, like the ads themselves, I didn't like. I like Claude. I understand like the marketing
Yeah.
behind that and everything, but the ads themselves I thought were, dumb. And sure enough, when people were polled, only 3% of people said that they were they were good ads, which to me
Mhm.
shows that they weren't effective. But then the whole, Department of War thing happened and like the OpenAI backlash with, them hopping on to have that deal take over.
Yeah.
And it just showed that like Anthropic was like fighting for you, the user. If you're going to choose a horse in this battle, you probably wanna go for, like, Anthropic and Claude, right? Because OpenAI is the
Right.
big, like, bully. They're, like the Goliath to the David. So, people like an underdog, and we've seen that with the number of people that have
Mhm.
started downloading it, right? And I
Mhm.
think that this is great because they're taking this ambassador model from, Red Bull and Nike, which usually has, like, campus brand managers and, like, community runners, and then applying it to AI, which is kind of, novel, right? It hasn't been done. And it's funny because it's like it's kind of positioned itself more as like the cool brand that like you find out about through like a friend, right? So this
Mhm.
referral network um is probably going to work a lot better and be more effective than having Claude
Yeah,
come out and tell you like, "Oh, here's
of
why we
course.
like did those ads and here's like what Claude, does." Because it allows, other people to show you their own like work, what they have done to fix and improve what they're already working on. And it shows you
Mhm.
something that you're more likely to care about because all
Mhm.
of a sudden it's not just like, oh, it's that weird ad about like, the fitness guy, making fun of OpenAI. It's like, oh, someone like built this thing with Claude Code that like he never would have been able to build before because he's more of an ideas person versus an engineer, right? And now all these like ideas people are able to build things that they never would have been able to
Mhm.
before because they weren't engineers.
Right.
So I think it's like super cool. And I think it's gonna be like super effective.
Yeah, I mean, it really just goes back to word of mouth being the
Yeah.
best marketing strategy there is,
Mhm.
which is something I'm gonna talk about when we talk about Sinners, but, like, a
Yeah.
lot of times I think that word of mouth is just, like, this super organic thing, and it's not, there's still marketing and strategy behind it. It's just made to feel that way so that when, like you said, someone tells their neighbor about Claude, they feel like it's this really, like, tangible thing someone told me, and so,
Yeah.
yeah, I think very smart. Because
Yes.
AI also feels very like something that's not tangible, and
Mhm.
so putting a regular person as the face of AI, it just makes people want to try it because it feels a lot more, like, tangible and concrete.
It also makes it more human, right?
More
Which is
human,
like
and it's not a big word, but that's essentially, yeah, more human.
Yeah, 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 which I think is like a really smart play because right now, so many people are scared about AI coming to steal their jobs and
Yeah.
coming to like take over. And I mean, frankly, AI is not there yet. The fact that, we kind of talk about it in that way, it just reminds me of the Ben Affleck clip that went viral a
Mhm.
couple weeks ago when he's talking about how a lot of these companies are talking about AI in that way to justify how much money they're spending and to justify the
Mhm.
valuations of the rounds that they're trying to raise as opposed to where the AI actually is, right? And the thing is
Right.
like when you use AI, you can see that, right? You can see that it can't really write very well and it can't
Yeah.
come up with new ideas, right? Um
Mhm.
so
They're also using it for mass layoffs, but the layoffs aren't because of AI. So a lot of
yeah.
companies are saying that it's AI related, but it's literally not.
Mhm.
We really don't have any idea of why some of these companies are laying people off to the extent that they are. And it's not AI because, as you've said, AI is actually not there yet.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, no, I do, yeah, that brings to mind the, Jack Dorsey, right, laying off a bunch of
yeah,
people,
yeah,
from Block,
exactly.
and I think what has come out afterwards, after the pushback that he got trying to say that it was because AI is making things, faster, people were like, "Actually, this has to be related to all the people that you hired during COVID and the whole idea of you overhiring, right?"
Yes,
And then he went and came out and said, "Yes, that is part of it, right?" But there's a reason why Jack Dorsey doesn't want to admit that he has overhired because it makes him
yes,
look as if he is not a good leader. And
yeah.
that's also a thing that came out after, Elon went and, fired all those people from Twitter. I'm sure some of those people were probably not, there like because they needed to be, but I mean, we all know Twitter isn't where it was.
Right.
So clearly some of those people were needed, so maybe he did overfire. So there is going to be have to be some balance here between the folks
Mhm.
that um, you know, do need to be at a company because they're actually making a difference. And then this whole idea that
Yeah.
like AI is going to come and like, take over your job. But I do think
Yeah.
what that does mean is that if you work in tech, you are going to have to know how to use AI, learn what you need to do in order to, amplify the work that you're already doing, and then cut back
Mhm.
on the things that take too much time. Like that's what AI is good at, right? That's what I use AI
Yeah.
for.
Oh, even as, like, a filmmaker, like, as a
Mhm.
writer, I'm not using it to write my scripts, but I
Mhm.
remember I was doing a pitch deck, and the company, it was actually Hulu, I wanted a character breakdown of all 10 characters, and they wanted it, like, the next day,
Mhm.
and so I used AI to help me come up with, like, a synopsis of that, and so it's like, no, I would never, ever use it to write a script, because why? But something like that, absolutely. I think as
Mhm.
writers, we can use that to our benefit, and then you go back in and you edit. But, like, that's a lot of work. Yeah, I think more artists should be open to the idea of using it that way.
Couple lessons here. When you have organic momentum, invest in your community and not paid ads, because you're going to get far more reach from that organic traffic than you ever are from paid ads. Not even sure how many people have actually seen the paid ads, aside from if they hadn't been at Super Bowl, right? And even then, most people probably even can't remember the company to like the ads, like to put it together.
Mhm.
But this is going to have farther reach because you have actual people coming to their own community and telling you about Claude, what they're doing with it, how much they like
Yeah.
it, what they're, building, and then going
Mhm.
from there. And then I also
Yeah.
think that it's super smart for them to not just go after developers, because
Mhm.
developers, I mean, honestly, they've probably been talking about it far more than, the rest of us. But to
Mhm.
have, marketers, content creators, maybe filmmakers, other people that are using Claude in a way that, looks good for Claude is far more
Mhm.
beneficial than just kind of relating it back to Claude Code, because that might seem too abstract and technical. And
Mhm.
if you can get people that aren't that technical telling you about how they become technical, it's going to have farther reach, and make Claude look even better for people.
Oh,